The fire crackled low, painting the cabin walls in flickering hues of orange and gold. I sat in my old leather chair, its arms worn smooth by time and stories told too often. Outside, the wind howled through the Ashwood pines, carrying with it a cold not even my bones could forget. My grandchildren Tommy, Evie, and little Mara gathered around the hearth, their wide eyes reflecting firelight and the promise of nightmares. "Have I ever told you the story of the Ashwood Communion?" I asked, my voice gravelly with age but laced with mischief. They shook their heads in unison, the flames dancing in their curious gazes. "Good," I said, leaning in. "Then let me take you back to the winter of 1963, when I was a boy not much older than Tommy. Ashwood was never just a forest. It breathed, groaned, and remembered. Our village, Willow March, stood on its edge like a stubborn tooth biting into something sacred. That winter, the snow came early and never left. By December, the pines stood like funeral columns, their branches heavy with silence. It began with the animals. First the crows, then the dogs, and eventually the cattle. They went missing one by one. No blood, no tracks, just gone. The elders whispered of old things best left undisturbed. But no one listened, not even Father Caldwell. Father Caldwell was a man of unshakable faith, or so we thought. He led us every Sunday in the little stone chapel at the hill's crest. That January, he introduced a new rite one he claimed was revealed to him in a dream. He called it the Ashwood Communion. We gathered under moonlight, not sunlight. The bread was blackened. The wine thicker, almost syrupy. And the prayers, they weren't in Latin. They weren't in any language we knew. When I asked my father about it, he slapped me and said, "Never speak of it again." By February, children began sleepwalking. We'd wake to find them outside, barefoot in the snow, eyes wide open but unseen. I was one of them. Woke up at the chapel steps one morning with frozen toes and ash in my mouth. The forest changed too. It whispered. I swear it did. One night I followed the sound. Deep in the woods, I found a circle of stones, older than any tree in Ashwood. In its center stood a man with no eyes, chanting in a voice like dry leaves. He turned to me and smiled. The communion grew stranger. People started disappearing. Aunt May, the Grierson twins, Sheriff Holtz, gone without a trace. The townsfolk said they left, but their cars, coats, and lives remained. I knew where they'd gone. Ashwood had taken them. One night I saw Father Caldwell lead my mother into the woods. She didn't come back. When I asked my father, he cried for the first and only time. Then he locked me in the root cellar for 3 days, murmuring prayers in that awful tongue. I knew then Willow March had given itself over to something else. Those taken weren't gone. They returned, yes, but different. Hollow-eyed, thin-skinned, and silent. They didn't bleed. I saw Sheriff Holtz try to eat bark straight from a tree. I ran to the only person who hadn't changed. Old Miriam, the midwife. She lived at the forest's edge, wrapped in herbs and secrets. She told me what the communion really was. A pact, sealed centuries ago, with the Sallow One, a forest spirit, ancient and cruel, who fed on devotion and flesh. Every generation it called its due. And this time, it was hungry. Miriam and I planned to stop the next rite. We gathered salt, iron, and fire, old tools for old evils. On the spring equinox, when the villagers gathered beneath the chapel, we struck. The battle was chaos. Miriam was torn apart by the hollowed ones. I threw the salt and fire into the altar's maw, where the floor screamed, so did Father Caldwell, whose skin peeled away to reveal something pale and flickering underneath. I'd barely escaped. Willow March burned. The fire purged most of it, or so I thought. I fled, changed my name, and swore never to return. The world forgot Willow March. Maps erased it. Roads vanished. But Ashwood remained. And sometimes, on certain nights, with just the right wind, I still hear the chant. I still smell the black wine. I still taste the ash. Now listen carefully, my loves. The communion didn't end. It just waits. You carry my blood, which means you carry its mark. It remembers. It calls. That's why I brought you here tonight, to tell you the truth, so you're ready. Because last night I saw the signal fire in the woods again. It's starting over. The fire died low, and I looked at the children. Tommy's eyes glowed faintly red. Evie's mouth twitched in a silent chant. Little Mara's shadow split into 3. I stood slowly, heart thudding like war drums. "You already answered the call, didn't you?" I whispered. They smiled. And from the forest, the sallow one stepped forth.